Hello, Humanities 101. I hope everybody's doing okay today. This is the first live lecture of summer semester, the second half of summer semester. Um, and welcome everybody here today. And again, if you're watching us live or if you're watching this recorded, um, either way is fine, right? So I'm here just to make sure that everyone has a kind of a touchstone and that they can check in with me, ask questions. And I just want to offer some reassurance on the classes and kind of the assignments that you're doing. So again, Humanities 101, this course, the class code was sent to you via email. If you didn't get that, you need to contact me. And I will send you the class code so you can enroll in the Google Classroom, and all of the course information is there in the Google Classroom. You will find a section that has kind of a welcome and introduction information, and there you will find a detailed explanation of the class, as well as some videos explaining the same information that is explained in writing. I would suggest watching the videos while you're reading the information. It will explain to you the assignments, the grading, the breakdown of the semester. I've even posted videos on how to successfully take an online class, how to uh, uh, successfully take an online class, how to even submit things into Google Classroom and upload videos and whatnot. So I've tried to make resources available to you that you will use in your coursework. That's all available to you in Google Classroom right now. Also, you will find the two mandatory assignments. And there are two mandatory assignments. One is due tomorrow, and that is an introduction of yourself. Good morning. You will be introducing yourself in Google Classroom, and it's a little different introduction than probably you're used to. I am asking you odd and interesting questions because, yes, I want to know your name, but I also want to know more about you than where you're from and what you do or what you hope to do as far as a profession or an occupation. There's much more to us than that. So I am interested in more than just that. So that introduction is posted, it needs to be posted by tomorrow. That is your never attended assignment. That gives you credit for being in the class. That meets the federal government requirements if you're taking this class for credit. The other mandatory assignment is due at the end of this month, and that is a response to one of the videos on this channel. It does not need to be this video. I would actually suggest that you not respond to this video because this is an informational video. This is not a discussion. This is not a lecture. This is not informational in the way that even the 20th century lectures about the 1950s or 60s are. This is just, kind of like office hours. So that is that assignment is where you're simply responding to one of the videos on this YouTube channel or one of the lives that happen during this semester. There'll be probably two more by the end of the semester where I'll go live here on YouTube. I'm live on TikTok, usually random times during the week, so you can also catch me there. But I want you to simply interact with and engage with the information that I've posted here on the Humanities 101 YouTube page. So those are the two mandatory assignments. Never attended assignment due tomorrow. The YouTube or live lecture response that is due by the midterm time in the semester. Now, the other assignments that you do, you will find that in the Google Classroom, there are 5 different menu assignments. You have to choose 2 of those 5 menu assignments for this class, okay? You can look at any number of topics. There are topics ranging from you answering a question about what is the greatest invention of the 20th century. And again, even though that seems like a pretty straightforward question, you will note when you read the assignment that I require you to define what you mean by invention, and what you mean by greatest. So that's a very important part of that assignment as well. But that's a pretty straightforward academic assignment that looks at 20th century American history. But the same idea, 20th century American history, can be met with the food anthropology assignment, which asks you to look at a specific food artifact from a decade and talk about the history of, let's say, Kraft macaroni and cheese and how that's indicative of 1960s middle class American culture. Again, all of this is explained in each menu assignment section, because in each one of these menu assignment sections, there is a background video, there are background readings, and then there are the assignment details themselves. So other than the 2 required assignments, this class is choose your own adventure. This class is designed so that if you don't like one topic, let's say you're like, I don't really care to create a holiday. I don't like holidays. I think holidays are silly, and I don't want to have to create a holiday. This is the class where you can say, I don't want to do that assignment. I choose to do this assignment. And that's all up to you. From day one, I have built each one of these menu assignments out to be an individual unit. And so you may be taking this class with your friend, and other than those 2 mandatory assignments, it may be a completely different class. We may meet here at Humanities 101 YouTube, the YouTube channel, to talk about questions and discuss ideas and projects that, even though you're addressing the greatest assignment, greatest invention assignment, and your buddy's addressing the food anthropology assignment, my answer will fit for both assignments. And so again, there's no excuse for you not to do something that at least you can find some enjoyment in. And you'll find with a lot of the menu assignments as well, some of them only are video assignments, whereas some of them give you a choice between a writing assignment and a video assignment. And the reason I do that is because, I'll be honest with you, AI. Some of these papers, like the greatest invention of the 20th century, if you plug that into ChatGPT, I immediately know, because it answers the question with a presupposed greatest and presupposed invention defined. And that's why I say very clearly, you have to define what greatest means to you personally and what invention means to you personally. And this is the reason why one of the assignments is prove you're human, because AI still has some holes, and you can plug in some questions to ChatGPT that don't quite get answered honestly, which is in the Turing test. Why does time fly like a, what is it? Time flies like a bird, but fruit flies like bananas. Again, it'll make sense if you take that assignment, that menu assignment on the prove you're human. But each one of these kind of units are in and of themselves their own individual kind of subclass, right? So we're all signed up for Humanities 101. However, other than the 2 mandatory assignments, each one of you might take a completely different class. Because let's be honest, if you're an engineer, how you define greatest invention of the 20th century is going to differ than if you're an artist, right? If you are, even if you choose the food anthropology assignment, there's enough randomization in the assignment because your decade is chosen based upon your name. And the assignment says, if your first name begins with this letter and your last name begins with this letter, here's your assignment, right? And so it's randomized to where there's enough difference that it'll be interesting for you. And let's be honest, it'll be interesting for me. Because if I read 60 papers of the greatest invention of the 20th century and you all plug it into the same AI, it doesn't matter that it randomizes 60 different answers. It's the same answer. Even if it's different examples, it's the same answer. And so who you are and the flavor of who you are, I want in your papers. I want in your videos in this class. This is Humanities 101. This is not Public Speaking 101. This is not Writing 101. This is not Logic 101. This is not Communications 101. I am more interested in what you say than how you say it. Okay. I have some students that create videos that are cartoons. I have some students that create videos that are them walking through a PowerPoint, right? You are not being judged on your lack of creativity, even though you might be rewarded for your creativity. You are not being judged on your lack of creativity or on your lack of flourish in how you say something. I want the ideas to be there, and I want the analysis to be there. If you have a hard time expressing that, that is why you have various options on how to express that. I have some students that take the Prove You're Human assignment, and they sit down with a friend in this class, and they film one video, but they turn it in, each of them turn it in separately. And it's the two of them sitting there interviewing each other, the Turing questions. And I'll be honest with you, for me as a teacher, that's fascinating. I would much rather watch two of my students sit and discuss the classroom material than you turn in a formal 5-paragraph essay that gives me the same thing that your friend says, just in a different way, if that makes sense. So I want you to put a flavor of yourself. I want you to be creative. I want you to be subjective. I do not want polish. I don't want pristine. Save that for English 131. Save that for public speaking class. Save that for logic. I still want there to be reason. I want there to be thought out. I want it to be analyzed. I want it to be prepared. Okay. But I want you to feel free to take risks and comfortable to experiment. So I've had students that, do the food anthropology assignment, and because they're assigned the 1940s, they shoot the whole thing as if they're in the 1940s and they're talking with a transatlantic accent, and they're like, "Hey there, pal, and have you ever heard about hot brown?" And I have other students that do tongue-in-cheek comedy and stuff. I have other students that, again, like I said, just straightforward give me a lecture. But it's how they creatively put together their ideas, not the polish with which they do it, or the finishing, the periods and the commas. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the meat of the sentence. Okay, so I'm not going to be judging you on whether you speak correctly and whether you say I speak correct rather than say correctly. I'm not going to judge you on that. I'm going to judge you on the ideas that are getting through, right? That is the rubric for each one of these assignments. Are you addressing the questions, and are you addressing the questions authentically? Are you giving me the answer you want to give me, or are you giving me the answer that you think I want? Because I don't want the answer that you think I want. I spent 20 years teaching English. I have read enough papers that say nothing and are technically perfect. I want ideas that have the potential to be perfect, that we may need to polish other places, because so many people focus on making it sound good that there's nothing to it, right? That it ultimately is a bunch of skin with no bones, with no meat. And so, like Vincent D'Onofrio in that Will Smith movie, right? Like, in Men in Black, the alien bug that puts on an Edgar suit, right? It doesn't quite fit, and it feels weird. And I don't want you answering questions about how you see the world to feel weird. right? And so I want you to sit down and authentically and truthfully and with some thought. So these may not be one-offs, right? I don't want you to sit down and never look at the Turing questions and sit down and just try to off the cuff answer them, because that probably is not going to make for compelling 15 or sometimes 41 an hour and a half video. I do want you to think about it, and I want you to struggle with the ideas, but I don't want you to worry so much about dressing them up and wrapping them up that there's nothing inside. Okay? So I don't want intellectual empty calories, if that makes sense. So if it doesn't, I know that there are people in here right now. So if you need a post a question while I'm talking, feel free. I will happily address the questions. But this is the class in a nutshell. So 2 menu assignments, 2 mandatory assignments. Now, you can do more than 2 menu assignments. Like a lot of students like to make sure that they get the A+, and so they're going to do 3 menu assignments. Excellent. Some students are like, look, I looked at all the menu assignments and there are only 2 that I really want to do, but I want to make sure I'm going to get an A+. So that's where there's extra credit. And there's extra credit in this class, and anyone can do extra credit in this class, and you can do up to 5 extra credit essay or extra credit responses. Okay. And again, they're essay responses, they're written responses, but they ask you questions about an experience. And it literally is an experiential paper of what did you do, right? And what did you think about it? So I ask you questions about past, present, and future, right? So for instance, what I find is a lot of students have grown up in Detroit, they've grown up in Dearborn, they've grown up in Michigan, and they've never done things that to me seem essential to that experience. Going to the DIA, visiting the Motown Museum, visiting the Arab American Museum. I have students that are 20 years old, grown up in Dearborn, and never have tried Lebanese food. Huh? How have you grown up in the place in this country where you can find some of the finest Lebanese food? And I have had students honestly say, what is shawarma? And again, if a student is from a different part of the country or even a different part of the state and they've never heard of it, I may not look at them that way. But if you went to Dearborn High School and you say, what is shawarma? How? Right? If you, and I'm not judging you on not having that experience, because sometimes shelter, right? Environment, even the people around us keep us from those experiences. But now I'm giving you an excuse. Now I'm giving you a reason. Okay. I have students that because of, the environment in which they grow up, they're not allowed to do certain things. And so I want to give you that excuse to do it. Go to the DIA, go take a day and drive to the Mackinac Bridge, buy a slice of fudge and drive back. And you're going, what would I accomplish in that day? An experience, a journey, memories, life. I don't know. The thing that we all are working for and tirelessly striving to achieve, you would do what some people would literally give their fortune to do just once again. Right? Because when you find people on their deathbed, the wealthiest person on their deathbed, they will give you everything they have if they just had one more day to be in a car, to drive to a bridge and have some fudge with family. I mean, I know it sounds cliche and it sounds like an old man's telling you to go out there and carpe diem. And I freaking am. I am. I'm telling you to go out there and carpe diem. All right. But I'm not judging you or grading you on the diems that you carpe, because some of us have never gone outside of the county in which we were born. Some of us have never tried food beyond boiled chicken and rice. And that may be for medical reasons, that may be for social reasons, that may be for any number of other reasons. But if you want the catalyst to do it, I want to be that reason to say, okay, well, I'm going to try it because I can get some credit for it. I've never gone to a museum, but I'm going to go on that free day in July because Doc will give me some extra credit for it. And I want you to start learning now, because if you don't learn it now, you'll never learn it, that it is about these experiences, and it's about going, ooh, I've never tried that before. What is that? And that is, to me, the whole purpose of this thing, right? So, so there's the extra credit, and you can do up to 5 of those. You can turn in 5 separate essays if you want. You can put it all. I would suggest just opening a document on your computer, your laptop, or your phone, and just titling it, your last name and extra credit, and just typing out if you want to do 5 experiences between now and the end of the semester. Doesn't have to happen right now. Keeping that document for the whole semester, and then at the end of the semester turning it in. And again, this does not have to be something that you undergo for this class. So let's say you're in history of rock and roll and you have to go to the Rock and Roll Museum in Cleveland for that class. If that's a new experience for you, write it for this class. If you have never spoken in public before and you're in public speaking class and you have to give a speech, and that's a new experience for you, write about it for this class. Again, you are creating a new document to turn into me. So the experience is what you're getting credit for in my class, right? And so some of you may have work experiences this summer or internship experiences this summer, or you may be taking a family vacation this summer that'll give you an opportunity to try a new flavor of ice cream. Have cereal for dinner. I mean, again, you may be the kind of person that grew up going to heavy metal concerts. And so for you, going to a DSO, a Detroit Symphony Orchestra concert, would be a new experience. Whereas if you are the daughter of the first chair cellist of the Detroit Symphony, you grew up watching your mother in the symphony, and Bach and Beethoven like the back of your hand, going to a Metallica concert this summer is now extra credit for you. So do you see how for each of us, what is an extra creditable experience is something completely different? And this is why I ask you in that essay to address, how is this not like you in the past? What was the experience you did? And will you do it in the future again? Past, present, and future. So menu assignments, mandatory assignments, extra credit. Someone asked about participation. Thank you very much. So how do you get participation credit? Participation can be gained in multiple different ways. One, you can engage with these live videos like some of you have already started doing. Okay. Like I've noticed Reem already. That name is locked in. Now, when Reem sends me an email, I'm going to know, because I see Reem's name. I'm going to already go, okay, Ben was at the lecture. Reem engaged with the answers that I was providing. So I already know that there's a level of knowledge that I don't have to explain, right? And it's weird that there are 100 of you, but I will be able to do that. And if not, I go through the archives and look at the comments and go, I know that name. I know that name. Why do I know that name? Right? And I will search, because again, 21st century, we can do that. I will search up and I'll be like, oh, that's where I know, right? I'll go into the YouTube channel and I will see the comments. So you can also go to the old videos that are here on the YouTube channel that are connected to the assignments or even not connected to the assignments. You're getting credit for learning. And so the things that I post on this channel are connected to the mission of this class in general. So anything here that you comment on or engage with will count for participation. The other ways are, there are social media. There are other social media platforms that I'm on: Twitch, Twitter, which is not Twitter anymore, I know. Facebook, we're on right now. We're even streaming on LinkedIn right now. I'm not currently streaming on TikTok at this moment, but I also stream there. You can engage in any one of those platforms. And some people say, look, I don't have social media. I'm not allowed to have social media for reasons. Some people it's their job. Some people, it's their home life. You're not required to do so. There's also comment sections in the Google Classroom. So if you're worried about, your name being out there, but this is also why I let you sign up under an avatar name. So if you sign up, you can create a Gmail account that is Space Ghost Coast to Coast at gmail.com. And if I'm the only one that knows that Space Ghost Coast to Coast at gmail.com is John Smith, who enrolled in this class, that secret goes to the grave with me. And on YouTube, it may appear as that avatar, but there's only one person that knows who that avatar is. And by law, I'm not allowed to tell anyone. So unlike Zuckerberg and all those other people who sell your information, I'm not allowed to sell your information. It's illegal for me to do so, and I take that stuff very seriously because I was a student in college when that wasn't a law. And my student number was my social security number. And when you took a midterm and a final, because that was the only thing that my grades were based on, and it was a Scantron, the professor would post your grades in the public hallway, and they would stay up there for about 2 weeks with your social security number. So you would walk. So imagine walking into a building on campus and seeing a list of social security numbers and a list of correlating grades on the wall, right? And in some schools, they would have your name there and the rank in the class. So whether you were number 1, number 2, number 3, or you were the last ranked in the class, they would post that in public for everyone to see. So I'm from that generation, and I take stuff like student privacy very seriously. Because when professors just throw out a pile of papers on a desk and say, you guys go through them and find your paper, I am the colleague that will walk into their classroom unwelcome and say, oh, no, every one of these students in this classroom need protection from you. You need to pass those out. Stand up or I will do it for you. But I am not going to let you, and I have gone to campus safety when I have seen students who have been told to drop papers outside a professor's office in a box. I have been the faculty member that hunts down that professor and has campus safety secure those student papers behind a locked door. And then we hunt down that professor immediately and let them know that they have been violating student privacy. Now, that was the early days, right, of FERPA. We are beyond that. And now all professors at Henry Ford are required to take a class, because I've already taken mine for this year, for student privacy on what they can share and what they can't share. But I take that very seriously. Okay. So anything that you share in this class that you choose to protect, your videos, you don't have to post those on social media. If you submit those to the Google Classroom, those are protected. If you give me access to your drive, doc@humanities101.org, that access is protected. And again, I'm not sharing that information with anyone. My wife and I are both teachers. At the dinner table, we do not share identifying information about students. We don't even use identifying pronouns. We are very serious about that stuff. And my daughter then, as a student, knows that her rights and privacy should be protected by her teachers. Okay. So I'm sorry I got on a soapbox there, but it is very important to me that you know that you have privacy rights. Okay. And that you exercise those rights as a student, and that if one of my colleagues is not protecting and you don't feel comfortable, send me an email. I will not tell them again who told me that they're violating that they're violating said student privacy rights, but I will go to bat for you and I will make sure that those rights are protected. Because as an employee of the college, that's one of the things that I can do is I can make sure that the college takes your privacy rights very seriously. Okay. So you can always send me an email, ahazlett@hfcc.edu or doc@humanities101.org. You can always send me an email. You can click on my name in the Google Classroom and it'll send me an email as well. Okay. People say throughout the semester, will you post more extra credit assignments after future extra credit assignments about past, present, and future experiences? I'm not asking you about past, present, and future experiences. I'm asking you about you in the past, present, and in the future. So how was that experience unlike you in the past? What was the experience? And will you do it in the future? So if you look right now, if you go into our classroom, there are students who have already answered that question and they generously posted it in the comments for you. There were 8 of your classmates that posted, and I said, guys, I love these responses. I do want those students to post them in their respective spots where they can turn that in so they get credit for it. But there are already examples. And there are some extra credit examples already posted on YouTube. And if you go into, and I think, and if I haven't, I will double check the extra credit posting. And if there isn't, I will make sure that either myself or AJ, who's my teaching assistant, I will make sure that we get that information posted into the extra credit, because there are some TikTok and YouTube videos already posted out there where people go through their extra credit experiences. And so again, they were not forced to. They did post them on social media so that I could use them as a teaching tool, right? Because one of the things that I believe in is in universal design, and I believe in freely giving my information out there, open source, right? And so I encourage other people to do so. However, I know we live in the 21st century, so if you want to copyright and trademark that stuff, copyright and trademark that stuff, because you will see that some of my stuff is copyrighted as well. All right. I have intellectual property protections with my job. Okay. Not everyone does that. And again, students, this is why I had the Google Classroom as well. Not all of your work, sometimes, if you turn it in through turnitin.com and different sources like that, not all of that property is yours then. Which is why I, again, want you to keep control of your information. If you give me access to a Google Drive, you can take away that access. If you submit a file, then you've submitted a file, right? Now, granted, if I do something with that, I still am liable, right? So if I steal your property, I still am liable as a human. However, I know as a student that there were many times that I did lots of work for my professors that would go into their research and that I never got credit for. I know that there are chapters of books that I put pen to paper to that I got an acknowledgement in the credits section, but I didn't get a co-writing credit. Okay. And I also know that there are articles in existence with my name on them that I didn't write. My editor wrote them and put my name on them because my editor was not allowed to write. Now, my editor had to get my approval to put my name on them, but my editor called me and said, I'm sending you an article. I want you to look at it and approve it so that I can pay you for it. All right. So again, I want you to protect, because in the 21st century, we've got that ability. It's all that stuff is still behind a paywall, but they're a little cheaper paywalls. I want you to, if you want to, protect your brand, because some of you may be social media influencers. Last semester, there was a classmate who is a huge social media influencer, and they could have utilized that if they wanted to, or they could have not. Right? And they could have gone in through that account, or they could not. Some students decide to utilize that influence, and some students choose not to. And so I don't And I don't want you to be forced to make any decision that you don't want to. So I let you have control over that information. So whether you want to give me access to a drive, whether you want to submit the file, or whether you want to post it to YouTube or LinkedIn or TikTok, and then submit a link that then I go and watch. Because I tell you, you submit a YouTube video, you submit a TikTok video, you'll at least get one view and one like. Because I will go in there, I will like it, and I will view it. Right? Even if it's private, you'll get one like. Right? Off topic, that is a plastic backpack. That the Captain America shield is a backpack. If I pull that off the wall, it has straps in the front that look like Captain America's webbing. The web strapping that he wore when he went into battle, right? And it's got a buckle, so you can even buckle the belt. But it's a very small and unusable backpack that you can fit maybe 3 or 4 folders in an iPad, and then you're out of luck. If you got a water bottle, forget it. Not this backpack. That was given to me when I got my dissertation completed and got my doctoral degree, because my dissertation was on the philosophical and political influences of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So basically, I looked at how the first series of Marvel films shaped American political and moral thought, right? So the reason that Civil War, the movie, might lead to Civil War, the reality. Okay? So yeah. So, and little did I know 10 years ago when I was writing that paper that it would be so prophetic. So, but yeah, so this is also why I don't watch those movies anymore, because I had to spend hours and hours and hours. So I'm just now catching up with the new incarnation of Marvel. But I haven't gotten out of Miss Marvel yet. So I'm still stuck there because, Kamala Khan is freaking awesome. So I just got goosebumps when I mentioned her name. Like, freaking awesome show. So yeah, I'm there in Disney Plus right now, and I haven't made it back to the movies. So other questions, I will sit here and hold some space. Usually these don't go on this long, but I got into explaining the class, explaining the kind of structure of the class, some of my philosophy. So I think this is all good. Okay. Because, again, I will post and link this in future classes, because this kind of explains an overarching, even though you may not be taking this class in summer of 2024, you may be taking this in summer of 2030. It more than likely is still apropos, because my teaching philosophy, if this video is still posted, is the same. I stand behind these words. So there are 2 mandatory assignments. Again, if you're coming in, Askar is coming in and asking a question. This is a great question. I've answered this question at the beginning of the video. So if you're coming into the video now and you're going, wait a minute, why isn't he answering my question? It's because I already answered it. So I would suggest that when I stop this live, you will immediately have access to the beginning of the video. Go back and look at the parts that you didn't view. And remember, just for accommodation's sake, that you can both slow down and speed up YouTube videos, right? So if I am speaking too quickly for you, you can slow me down. If I am speaking too slowly for you, or you want to get to another section, you can skip forward or do double time. So please remember that those accommodations exist, as do closed captions and various things like that, and utilize that technology. Work smarter, not harder. You will notice in this class that when I can, I always give it to you in written and in audiovisual form. So the course text for the mandatory, or not the mandatory, but the menu assignment about micro accommodation is a textbook, which I link you to for free, right? It's a book, Academic Ableism. However, there's also the audio version for free. So if you don't like reading, but you really want to know that information, download the MP3 and listen to the audiobook. Because unlike some other professors, I will correct you if you say, well, I didn't read the book, I listened to it on audiobook. I will say, no, you read the book, because reading as a verb might mean the physical act of reading, but it might also mean absorbing a text and retaining the information, which absorbing a text can be done visually, auditorially, a whole slew of ways. Tactily, talk to our friends who can read Braille, and they will tell you, I can read with my fingers. What are you talking about? And some of you, based on how you read, I do this. I literally read with my finger because I use it to follow along with the words. So do you, boo? Okay. Any other questions, any other concerns? And again, I appreciate you spending time with me. Those of you who spent all of this time with me, I appreciate it. Those of you who are watching this in rerun, again, I appreciate you as well, because I know that not everybody can come in on a Tuesday at noon and spend an hour on YouTube. Some of you may only have time here and there. You may only have 5 minutes every other day. And I understand that too. So this is why, again, this class is designed this way. This is why you will find me online sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning. You will find me online sometimes at 5 o'clock in the evening or at 10 o'clock in the morning. Random weird times, and even my colleagues will tell you, I don't keep normal hours because you all don't keep normal hours. So my job is to help shepherd you in your learning experience. And like a shepherd, I have to be around when the sheep go astray. And I'm not using that pejoratively. I don't like to use that metaphor pejoratively, like students are sheep and I have all the knowledge. But I use that in the idea that I have to remain vigilant, and you have to then also let me know, as you might, when you don't know. So please, 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 if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you have issues, give me those questions, give me those concerns. And please note that if you send me an email and don't get an answer, that is an odd thing. So send me another. You will not bug me. All right. I had a student that just sent me an email yesterday and said, I have sent you 6 emails. Why haven't I gotten a response? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I went through my email and I cannot find an email that you sent me. And they responded with screenshots and said, see, I sent you emails. And I looked at the screenshots because, again, I take this very seriously. And I said, oh, yeah, you left my first initial off. And some students don't add 2 T's on my last name. And so this is why I say, if you send an email and you don't get a response, send it again. Just forward the email, okay? Because again, send it to doc@humanities101 and my HFCC email if you want to just make sure. I have no problem deleting the one email and answering it from the other account. I will know what you're doing. I will understand the redundancy. Okay. So, feel free to, if overkill is the way that you do it, CC both email addresses. That's fine. Okay. So Adam has one more question. What do you mean by we have 5 more experiences to submit for extra credit? Is that, no, what I mean is you can submit up to 5 extra credit papers, right? So you can just go to one museum and submit 1 paper and get 1 point of extra credit. However, some students really get into this. They really enjoy doing the experiential papers. And so they want to do more, and they want to get credit for it, and they want to get an A++++++, and they want to make sure that just because they weren't too sure about their participation or they weren't too sure about that menu assignment, and they want to make sure, some of you are overachievers. So I want to give you a chance to overachieve. However, if you do 1 extra credit assignment, right, that is great. I'm not requiring you to do 5. But I have students that have asked, how many can I do? So I have set a limit. Just like I will tell you that I will stop watching at 2 hours for a video, I also tell you 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 pages. I'll read 50, but I don't want you turning in 50, right? Because sometimes too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. And 1 aspirin will cure a headache, but 500 aspirin will cure life. All right. And we don't want that, right? So the poison can sometimes be the cure, and the cure can be poison. So I want you to, if you want to do extra credit, that's great. But it's not required. And you don't have to do 5 of them. But I want people, again, I have some students that, because they're not allowed to drive outside of Dearborn, they use this extra credit experience to go visit their cousin in Livonia and have lunch at a diner that they've never gone to and try a food that they've never tried. And in my book, driving to Livonia is one experience. Going to a diner that you've never gone to is another experience. And trying a food item that you've never tried is a third experience. So you may do one day and have 5 different experiences. And if you want to subcategorize your trip to Mackinac, right, and get 5 different points of extra credit because you went to Shell City, you tried a new kind of fudge, you saw a Big Mac, you drove a car for 7 hours, and you drove through Flint, and you've never done that before, right? Again, depending on how sheltered or unsheltered your experiences have been, your assignment or your extra credit may be, I put on a suit and went out and put on normie clothes and saw what the world was like as someone who wears a suit and tie, right? That may be an experience for you, right? I do it sometimes just, on campus. Like I usually dress like this, but then sometimes in the middle of the semester, I'll just put on a suit and come to campus just to see the reaction of my students and my colleagues. Because to me, it's enjoyable just to have that experience, to be treated as a sir on campus rather than getting ID'd in the faculty bathroom, which happens to me often. My colleagues will go, "Do you work here?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I hired you. Do you remember?" Like, okay, I'm sorry. I know you think I'm a non-traditional student, but no, I work here. All right. Any other questions, any other concerns? I'll wait like another 30 seconds to see if there are any other questions, give myself a chance to wet my whistle. And again, if you just are finding the YouTube page, and you want access to the class and you want to take it not for credit, but just to take it to learn, hit me up. You can get access to the class. If you haven't checked out humanities101.org, please do so. We have independent research up there. Part of what I do when I'm not teaching classes is I work on universal inclusion, right? And so the idea of everyone being included in everything all the time is a pretty strong lift. But I work on autism inclusion. I work on, neurodivergent inclusion. And so we publish research. We do our own research as well. So if you're interested in taking some research, if you go to humanities101.org, you will see that there's a survey. So if you know people who are autistic, or you yourself are autistic, please take that survey. If you know people who are autistic, send it to them. If you know people who are autistic, send it to them. But we have we've published research, we've written articles, even something as simple as how do we get through the summer when you have sensory issues. I think this week, some of the people that work for my nonprofit posted about a summer survival guide. So how do you get through the summer if you have sensory overload? So we have even things as useful to students as project planning handouts. So you can print those project planning handouts out and you can plan, how am I going to get through my menu assignment on food anthropology? It's due here. Hazlitt wants these steps done. Therefore, I will break it down in these categories and I will do these steps. It literally will walk you through the process. So I make all of that stuff available to you for free on Humanities 101, but check that out. And if you're interested in getting involved, you can also do that at the end of the semester, right? But right now, if you're interested, take the survey. share the survey. Check out the website, see what we're about, and if you have questions, send them my way. Okay. You can always hit me up. I have the 2 email addresses. I have the various social medias. Um, Other than the fact that sometimes on the weekends I go camping, we have holidays and parts of the state that I will be in because I do work with the state in some advocacy things, and I will be going to the Upper Peninsula at the end of this semester. And there may be times where, if you've ever been to the Upper Peninsula, there will not be internet, but it won't be more than a half a day. Okay. So if you send an email and you don't hear from me after 3 days, send up a flare, right? Because that's weird. Usually you'll get a response like that. Okay. I wish you all the best. I hope that you have a good holiday. If you do celebrate the holiday, remember going into the holiday, though, that some people have sensory issues and not all of us like loud bangs all the time. And so, if your neighbor asks you to keep it down, it's not because they hate America. It's maybe because they need to sleep sometime this week. And while you end the fireworks at 10 p.m., their heightened sensory issues don't end at 10 p.m. and they can't go to sleep immediately. So they may not be asking you to change for them or for you, but maybe for them. But consideration, again, patience, remembering that people's behavior is communication, and just being present is what we preach, what I preach, what I talk about. So give your fellow humans patience. Be kind to yourself, right? Because if you're kind to yourself, you can be kind to others. All right. And I know that that's very Jerry Springer of me to say, but it's freaking true. All right. So have a wonderful holiday. Have a great week, and keep doing you. All right.